were little and you had your parents say at night, saying, I wanted you to read me a story. Or sometimes you was like, tell me a story. And they make up a story on the fly, right? Well, I know I love stories, but I specifically like it when I write them or I tell them. And I believe that I'm a good storyteller. And I found that out that I'm part Native American. And that is a big deal to my family. Native Americans pass down their stories, their religions, by storytelling. So I think that is a good part of who I am. I'm going to tell you about my high school years, because that's majorly where the storytelling really started. And it really helped me pull friends through, and it helped me learn who I am by stories with my family. So it all starts in the 9th grade. Surprisingly, I was a very timid student. I didn't talk much. And I only mostly stayed with one of my friends from 8th grade who knew me well enough that I could communicate well enough to her. Most of my classmates didn't talk to me, which was great. No one talking to me, no one bothered me. I wrote stories. Surprisingly, I even wrote stories about the subjects in history, English, biology. And when it came time for a test, I would look back at those stories, and on my test, I could relate a chapter I wrote about a certain subject and ace my tests. So that was kind of a big deal to me with my stories. But then in the 10th grade, it all changed. In the 10th grade, we had to do a personal project. So I had to go home. I was racking my brain, what could I do? Well, I thought, stories. I could do my personal project on stories, but not just any stories. I did all my family stories. I made a photo album with family members, but with stories that have been passed down from generation to generation. Stories from John Quincy Adams, who was the 6th president of the United States of America. I'm related to him. So I knew stories about him all the way down to my great-great-grandfather, John Quincy Post. Those stories I told over and over again to people who ever came and asked me about my personal project. So throughout the year, even after the project, people brought other people to me so they could hear those stories. And surprisingly, those stories would brighten up people's day. So then again, my storytelling came into use. Then I got a request for a story. I was in 11th grade, and a friend who was really down on their luck just came up to me and was like, hey, can you write me a story? I need it. I was stunned. No one had ever asked me about that before. So I thought to myself, yeah, I can do this. So calmly looked at them and said, yes, I'll do this for you. It took me hours racking my brain thinking, what can I say to make this person have hope again, believe in them? It took me 2 days to write this story for them. Once I wrote this story, they had hope, and they encouraged other people to get the help they needed, even if it was just a story from me. So at the beginning of high school, I was a personal storyteller to me. But by the end, I was a storyteller to everyone. So as I'm wrapping up, I ask you a question. What story can you tell?